So you've heard about this intermittent fasting thing and you're trying to figure out if it's the real deal. All right, and I'm going to break down exactly what intermittent fasting is, how to get started, the different types, what are the benefits, and I'm also going to talk about what are you allowed to consume while you're fasting. All right, so this is going to be a brief overview and introduction to fasting so that way you have all of the information to make your decision. All right, so let's get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Blade, the physician dedicated to teaching you how to optimize your health through the science of personal development, nutrition, and exercise. And today we're talking about fasting. So let's get going. So what is intermittent fasting? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're already doing it. Yes, you are. So intermittent fasting is just a pattern of eating where you have moments where you eat and moments where you don't. It's very simple. It's called sleep, right? So that is a form of intermittent fasting. So if you look at the word breakfast, if you break it up in half, it's called break fast. So unless you're in the hospital getting continuous feeds through a tube, you are fasting. So it's pretty simple. It's just time restricted eating. The problem that we have in the modern society is that people are typically eating all the time that they're awake. And that has a lot of negative outcomes. And one of those outcomes is obesity, because food is energy. And if you consume too much energy, but you don't ever get a chance to utilize it, you end up storing it on your body for later. Okay, so intermittent fasting is one of the ways in which we can kind of circumvent that and actually start using the energy that's stored on our body as fuel. So what are the benefits to fasting? We have faster fat loss, less muscle loss, increased lifespan, decreased cancer risk, and lowered insulin. So that kind of ties into the video that I recently created where we talked about how fasting was used in order to reverse diabetes, which says that diabetes is not as much of a disease as it is actually an adaptation that our body acquires over time due to our nutrition and also our lifestyle habits. And this all goes into metabolic flexibility. And metabolic flexibility is the ability for your body to use both forms of fuel as energy. And those forms are in the forms of fats and carbohydrates. Most people that live in today's modern society are primarily deriving most of their energy from the calories they consume from carbohydrates throughout the day. But with fasting, you actually get to tap into the fat. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to tap into the fat because it's much better, sustained, smooth form of energy. It's cleaner. And we all want to save the environment. This is a clean source of energy. So what are the different types of fasting? Well, the most common type of fasting is the 16-8 method. And that essentially means where you're going to eat most of your meals within an 8-hour window, right? For most people, that just means you skip breakfast. So you might skip breakfast, have your first meal at noon, and finish your last meal by 8 p.m. So that's an 8-hour eating window, okay? And then some people like to stretch that out a little bit. Instead of an 8-hour eating window, they push it to 4-hour eating window. Okay, so that might be one meal a day. So those are the two forms of time restricted feedings that are pretty common. And then you have the alternate day fasting method, where you eat on one day and then the next day you don't eat, and then the day after that you eat again. And that's the protocol that I'm trying right now. So far, I'm 3 days in, I'm still alive. And yes, it does take a little bit of willpower. But what you're going to notice about your hunger signals is that actually over time, the more you're fasting, the less hungry you get. You think it would be the other way around, but lots of the research has shown that as people engage in prolonged fast, their hunger actually goes down because there's a hormone called ghrelin, which starts to decrease. All right. So those are the main types of intermittent fasting. There's lots of different ways you can do it, and there's lots of different flavors. So you just kind of have to find the one that works for you. All right. Now, how would you get started? Well, imagine yourself getting into a pool that's really, really cold, right? There's two ways of getting into that pool. You can just dive in and just get that shock to the system. And the problem with doing that is you might resent yourself and you may never want to do it again, right? Because you didn't get a chance to really adapt to the pool. Versus you can slowly kind of walk your way in there, get used to it over time, and then you don't have like this love-hate relationship with that pool or that cold water. Either way, the water's cold, so you're probably not going to get it anyway. But the moral of the story is there's two ways to do it. So I would not recommend just going from eating the way you've typically been eating and then saying, hey, I'm going to take a day off from eating. That's a lot. Okay, so what I would recommend is starting off with the 16-8 method, right? If you're not already eating within that time span, start off with the 16-8 method and then slowly try to shrink that window from 8 hours to 6 hours to 4 hours and, kind of play with it that way. So those are the two different ways to start. But the best way to start is just to try it out and see what works for you. Which style of fasting is best for you? Well, if you have 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds to lose, you have enough energy on your body to put Duracell out of business, okay? So use that energy. You can be a little bit more aggressive because you have more fuel on your body that your body can use for energy. So you may be able to just hop into a more extreme version of the fasting. If you can tolerate it based on some of the side effects, you might feel like your energy levels might dip initially because your body has to switch from being primarily using glucose for energy and switching to fats, and that takes some time. It takes a couple of days. So if you can deal with that and some of those different side effects that are going to come with transitioning into this eating pattern, then hey, you have excess energy. You have more energy. You have a battery pack that a lot of other people don't got. So use it to your advantage. And that's exactly what my client, Frank, the dentist on the screen over here, when he was on his journey to losing 60 plus pounds, he always said to me that, once I started this, I realized that I had a battery pack that other people didn't have. I would go in the gym and I was motivated because I knew that all this stuff on me was just energy that I could utilize, that I could tap into. And he fasted a lot. He was eating one meal a day a lot of the times. Some days we would do 1, 2, 3 day fast together and then keep each other accountable. And because of that, he was able to get really, really good results, right? That was the major thing. So we could talk about, what did he eat? What did he eat? What did he? No, it was about the protocol, right? The protocol, the system, and the discipline, all right? And it worked for him, and it's worked for a lot of different clients in different ways. Everyone has a different kind of protocol that kind of works with their lifestyle, and then they follow it and they get results. So just try it out. You have nothing to lose except for fat. So what are you allowed to consume on a fast? You want to have calorie-free liquids. Water is a good choice. So you get water, you get tea, you get black coffee, things like that. And initially, it's okay to have artificially flavored things like Powerade and Gatorade that are calorie-free initially. However, you have to realize some of those artificial sweeteners may actually make you hungrier. So you might want to eventually kind of stray away from those and stick to primarily water, maybe put some fruits just floating in the water like cucumber water, lemon water, stuff like that. And sometimes it's very beneficial to add Himalayan sea salt to your water because you're going to be losing a lot of sodium when your insulin levels drop. So it's very good and beneficial for you to add some sodium throughout your day so that way your electrolytes kind of stay within balance because you are going to be pouring water out. You're going to be going to the bathroom a lot initially, all right? You're not allowed to have juice. No juice, right? No one should be drinking juice every single day. I don't care if you're a child. I don't care if you're an adult. No one should have juice.
What the fuck is juice?
Granted, I'm not a parent yet, and I don't know what it feels like to have to deal with a yelling kid that wants their juice, and you might be using it as a way to get them to calm down a little bit. So if you're a parent and I don't have to deal with your struggle, hey, you could take this with a grain of salt. However, you have to understand that if you're giving your child juice, you are addicting them to the same thing that has plagued some of your struggles throughout your life when it comes to your weight, right? So you don't want to addict your kids to sugary beverages. Instead, give them the actual fruit. That's a thought. Give them the fruit instead of using artificial sweeteners. At the end of the day, don't overcomplicate this. Fasting is a simple way for you to improve your health, to lose extra fat, and also to utilize more fat for energy throughout the day. It's very simple to do. Start off by just skipping breakfast, and then from there, kind of play around with the different timing that works for your lifestyle. All right. And then reap the benefits. Feel how amazing you feel when you don't have to be tethered to food all the time. And also, this should help you reduce your snacking. And if you could reduce your snacking, you could reduce how much you're eating throughout the day, you could reduce how often you're thinking and concentrating and tethered to food, you're going to be in a much better place because we have energy on our body. Now it's just time to use it. If you like this video, please be sure to share it with your friends and follow me on YouTube and also on Instagram. All right, see you in my next video.